Hi everyone and welcome back to another episode of Peaking into Success podcast. We are now on episode 17 of the podcast, which has happened so quick. Today we've got a guy on that also kind of has his own show and his own podcast in its own right. He is a knowledgeable man all about everything Q sports, whether that be pool or snooker, and has interviewed some of the great stars of the game. So today we've got on David Goldsmith from Chalk Talk. Hello David, how are we today?
Good evening, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Of course, you're in the hot seat, as I'd call it tonight, where it's kind of roles reversed for you.
Yes.
But I'm sure with the amount of episodes you've done, you've got the gift of the gab to kind of keep it rolling and know your field well, so you'd be able to talk about it well for the listeners.
Yeah, I like to think so. I like to think I'll be all right.
So, of course, for people that don't know you and kind of what you do, how would you sum it up quickly for everyone?
So I run a podcast with Microbrew Radio, who you obviously know yourself, the guys there. I run a podcast that's based around pool and snooker, and I speak to, as well as the kind of local players around the area, I speak to professionals and kind of all people that are involved with Q sports. So, snooker coaches, snooker professionals, pool professionals, people like referees. I like to have a nice wide field of people that come on the show, so we can get a feel for every aspect. And yeah, it's just kind of taken off from there.
Was there any reason you chose Q sports as kind of your niche?
Yeah, so I mean, I've played pool for competitively, I've played for around 12 years. When I started playing in local leagues around Burton-on-Trent, and then I played for Staffordshire for my county for about 5 years. I'm going to try and represent them again this year. So I'm really big into pool. I like playing. I'd like to think I'm at a good standard of pool. So, and I also love talking about it. So when I knew that there was a kind of opportunity for me to have my own show, obviously you like to pick something that you're good with and that you're confident with, and something you can talk about all day, every day, and all night. And pool and other Q sports, snooker, I've played myself as well, so it's something I could just talk about all the time. So it was a no-brainer, really, that this was the route to go down.
Nice. And I mean, I've heard a few of your episodes kind of to get a feel of you, even though my knowledge of Q sports is not the greatest. But I think how you come across and how you talk about it shows your enthusiasm, and that when you were talking about it then, I could just see in your face that you could, if I let you run with it, you could, and you could just be a one-man podcast on Q sports if you wanted to be, and just talk all day about it. So it comes across in your work.
Yeah, I thought originally, I didn't know that my plan wasn't to have a guest every single week. I didn't think I'd be able to get that done. It's like I say, it's taken off bigger than I ever expected. So at first I kind of felt like there was going to be weeks where it would just be me for an hour talking about pool, which I could do, as you say, I could do it, but I've been fortunate enough to land very special guests every week, and it means I only get to speak half of the time rather than the full hour.
Is there a guest that sticks out in mind to you when you think of all the episodes that you've done?
Yeah, I mean, there are some that I've not guessed, but there are some shows that I've preferred to others. Some shows have flowed a lot more than others. I find it a lot easier when my guest is in the studio with me, because we're face to face, and it's a lot easier to engage. Whereas sometimes, over calls like this, I mean, I can already tell already that me and you are firing, so it's fine. But with some people, especially if you've never really held a conversation with them before, it's quite tough to get going and to get a feel of the room. But no, so I've had a few very big guests on the show, for a few people that are very highly ranked in the pool and snooker world. But the ones I've preferred the most have been the kind of local the local guys, the people that I know, and I don't know if that's because I've known them for years and because I've played pool with them before, but because we've got that friendly feel already, they're so easy to talk to. And I mean, I can talk to anyone, but these guys have, one show, for instance, was I had a gentleman on about 3 weeks ago called Keith Rudin, and he's just a local player. He's won a lot in the local, like the Burton area. He's represented his county, Staffordshire, and I think he represented England as well. So he's played at a good level, and I've known him for a few years. So the show just flowed really nicely. Like, it was amazing. It was just like two mates talking, a bit like how this feels. It was so easy to talk to him. And at the end of the show, my dad said, I got home and my dad said it was his favourite one so far. When I consider that I've spoken to millionaires and players that have won all these tournaments across the world, I was a bit taken back. But then when I listened back to it, I was like, yeah, actually, that was a really good show.
That's what you want, though. You want someone that's kind of on your level, and you kind of have that mutual respect. If you know kind of where the person's come from and known them for years, you can kind of talk and kind of be like, oh, remember this. You've got stuff to bounce off as a general conversation, and that's when it comes across better, because it's not like now, it's not like I'm interrogating you going, well, why did you do this? Why did you do this? It flows. It feels like I'm just asking you questions in between a conversation, which is nicer.
Yeah,
and I mean, it comes across as, I'm not gonna lie, I went in the archive a bit just to see kind of the progression. That's what I like to look for. So anyone that has a podcast, I like to look at kind of the first couple to the latest couple to see kind of the arc and the growth, and it shows that. I'm not gonna lie, you've not really changed a lot. Like, there's not much of a change. Like, you've kind of kept you, and that shows like that you are who you are, and you don't change because the mic's on and you're recording, which is nice, and it shows that you're not changing to be a persona. You are you are David, and you are talking about something that you want to talk about. So it's nice to see that, and that the people can access that frequently.
Yeah, I don't want to be another character. I do want to be myself, as you say. It's quite important, really, because if I was myself and then I got into the studio with a guest and they were seeing me as this different person, like trying to act like something else, I don't know, it wouldn't sit right with me, and it probably wouldn't sit right with them. And the characters in the pool world, they'd definitely tell me about it. So no, it's nice to just be yourself, isn't it? And know that people are enjoying it as well. It's a good confidence boost.
100%. You've mentioned about Microbrew and kind of how they're linked with the podcast. Kind of, how did that opportunity come around for you with Microbrew Radio?
Yeah, you know what? These guys are amazing. I'm going to shout out straight away, Matt and J-Man.
Yeah.
Great, mate. You know yourself. Great guys. Great guys. And I'm going to give a shout out to the local sports brew team on Microbrew Radio, because that's where it all started for me. It was kind of a couple of years ago now, we started a thing called Local Sports Brew through Microbrew Radio. A gentleman called Paul Kirkley, he got in touch. And it was just a group of guys that supported the local kind of football teams, and we wanted to do a sports section for the locally ran, teams around the area, and Burton Albion, State Null, etc., etc. And we did, parts on rugby, and I think they still do parts on cricket and everything. And yeah, it just started from there. It started from like a video call. There was probably about 5 or 6 of us in this call, and then I got my brother involved. My brother still does it now. And it was every Friday, the slot that I have now, the 6 till 7 p.m. slot, it used to be the local sports brew slot. And yeah, every Friday, in times where I think we then had like the second lockdown, and there was times where we couldn't see anyone, but we still had this to do on a Friday evening, and it was something to look forward to. And we spoke for an hour about football and various other sports over Skype. Yeah, Skype we did it over, yeah. And it just started from there. I never really thought myself as being much of a talker about sports, but I know, again, with things that you love, things like football and pool, I could talk all day. And it started there, and it got to, there was a couple of occasions where Paul, who was the main presenter of the show, he was unavailable. So I kind of took rank for a couple of shows, and it just felt natural. It felt quite easy to do and felt like I could do it again. And then unfortunately the show changed to a Monday night, which it's usually an unavailable night for me, 6 till 7. I can't do it. So unfortunately I had to kind of knock local sports brew on the head after 2 years, which is a shame. But I was very fortunate that I could open up this other slot and keep the 6 till 7 for myself on a Friday. And again, speak about something that I'm passionate about. So
no, that's good. And I mean, it's good that you've kept your kind of tradition of the slots. So I mean, is it 2 years now that you've had that slot or is it longer now?
It's probably over. Yeah. I'm trying to put dates together because we had the first initial call in January, but I'm trying to think if that was January 2020 before the first lockdown, or if it was 2021. I can't even. When you've been doing it week in, week out, it just all kind of comes into one. And and you know what? I took good experience from local sports brew, because there was a few occasions where we had on a couple of ex-Burton Albion footballers who we'd interview over Skype, and to be able to do them kind of things, it really set me up for interviewing anyone. I'm not really scared of talking to anybody anyway, but in the last couple of months, I've spoken to some very big names that I didn't ever think I would hold a conversation with, and I've been so comfortable. And I have to give that credit to the local sports brew in the first place, and being able to hold the conversations with. They were only Burton Albion footballers, but because I support Burton Albion, they were my idols when I was growing up. So, doing that has definitely put me in a forward step with my own podcast.
No, that 100%. And I mean, that's the thing. I feel like if you've got something to base off and see kind of people to work with initially and kind of take their pros and use it in short talk, of course, that's going to build you and build your show to become better. And I mean, you would have already had some contacts from local sports brews, so you kind of can use them to your advantage when you're making your own show.
Agreed.
With, of course, your career in general, is there a certain guest or a certain event that sticks out as a career high for yourself?
I'll be honest, in the last kind of 6 or 7 weeks, it's been nearly high after high in terms of the people I've spoken to. It's, I think it was about 3 weeks ago now, I did an interview with, there's a gentleman whose nickname is Venom, and he's called Florian Kohler, and he's a French guy that lives in Vegas.
Okay.
And he's the most streamed pool trick shot player in the world. He did the first ever trick shot video on YouTube. He's got over 2 million followers and subscribers. He's done exhibition events for like the Prince of Dubai and all these celebrities. And I knew about him before I kind of got massive into pool. So it was when I originally messaged him and he responded, like, first of all, stunned that he responded. And second of all, to actually get him there live from Vegas to have a conversation with him. He was a great guy as well. He was so easy to talk to. It wasn't like it was a difficult conversation.
Yeah.
I found it really easy, and that's definitely a high right now, because he's one of them names that everybody in pool knows him. Everyone knows what he does, what he's about. He's a multi-millionaire that plays pool for a living, and it's things like that. You kind of dream about talking to people like that. Well, I do anyway. I don't. Other people might not, but I definitely do. It was good to. If you look upon some of the people that follow him on social media, you've got professional athletes that follow him because they like his videos and actors and celebrities, and to hold a conversation with him was just unbelievable. And it will be hard to beat. I do have an end goal of somebody that I'd like to talk to in the Q Sport world, but I think it's one of them where it may be nigh on impossible. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in the future.
Do you find it hard, as of course you said that you didn't expect him to reply, do you find it hard to secure guests and trying to keep that ball rolling, or do you find it kind of easy as you dabble in local to worldwide with the people that you try and get on?
You know what? I'll be honest, I find it quite easy because, as I said originally, I wasn't planning on having guests every week. I didn't think I would be asking people to come on the show. But more importantly, I didn't think people of such stature would be asking to come on the show. And that was something I was going to go on to. Like, I've had some people actually ask to come on the show, and people that are massive names, and, you know, you don't think they want to come on to Little Chalk Talk in Burton-on-Trent, but they do. They're interested, and I didn't expect it at all. But when I hold the conversations with them, and like when I held the first original conversation with Florian Nicola, I found it actually really easy. It was just so like, because I know how to talk to people anyway. I think it's something I'm confident with. I feel like I could talk to anybody. So it was quite easy to just message him, speak to him just like he's a normal human being, because he is. And from there, it was, you know, he was drawn in straight away because I sold it really well. And yeah, it was I find it quite easy. I can imagine for some people it might be tough, because it's not an easy gig, you know, trying to persuade people to do these things. You might know yourself that I've been rejected by a few, because you can't pull everyone in. And, you know, sometimes it probably is tough, but, you know, in my eyes, if I get rejected by one, I go on to the next one, and, you know, you get someone else on the show. So I enjoy it.
That's the mentalities. I mean, if you get rejected initially by someone, you can always try again when you've got a few more episodes under your belt and a few more followers and built up yourself. Is, of course, every podcast together is like a collection of your work, isn't it? So it's kind of, if people can see that collection and be like, yeah, I like what they're doing, then that's where you're going to entice them in more. That's like your sales pitch as well.
Yeah, that's it. And you know, like, to just be where we're at with, I started at the start of April, and, you know, we're only mid-July. To be where we are, well, I say where we are, to be where I am with the show, and, you know, for it to be helping Microbrew the way it is, I'm buzzing. There's nothing for me to be glum about or anything, you know. It's been a crazy 3.5 months, but it's, you know, it's only going to go further. So I've managed to, in terms of you were asking if it was easy to get people in. I mean, today I've secured 4 more people for my shows. So I do it once a week, and I've only now got 3 available dates left for the rest of 2023. And I didn't see that happening, but my whole schedule is just chocked now, and I'm at a point where I can only have 3 more people, and I've got to carefully select those 3 more people. I can't, I've got. It's going to be tough. I might find myself rejecting somebody this year and asking them to come on next year because of how full the schedule is. So it's scary. Would
you expand onto more days so you can fit more in, or is it kind of you're happy with your 1 a week Friday?
Yeah, you know what? I've done a couple of 2-show weeks when, like, for instance, when I had Florian Kohler on, I did 3 shows that week. Okay. I did one on the Monday with 2 professionals, and then I did, I'll shout them out, Craig Waddingham, Mike Gibney. Great show it was as well. On the Thursday, I had Florian, and then on the Friday, I was in to have snooker professional Dave Gilbert. So it was, 3 amazing shows, a very busy week, and I did feel like at the end of the week, like, I could do with a week off now, like, because I work full time as well, and I've got a son and a relationship. It's hard to, you're trying to do everything, and I've got because I play pool myself and I play football. I do have quite a busy social life, so it's hard to fit everything in. I'm more than happy with one a week. But you know, if things go the way they're going, the only solution might be to do two nights a week. It might be the only solution. You know, I will do whatever the fans want. I'm a people pleaser. So.
There we go. So you'll get pressured into it eventually.
Definitely, yeah.
So of course we've mentioned your career high. Is there a defining moment in your career to date that sticks out to you, which has changed you in some sort of way?
There's a couple, and the first one I'll tell you is it's not really changed me because it's a very recent thing that only happened last week. But what I'll say what it has done after I've explained it to you. But I was on holiday last week and I got a message from Matt from the studio from Microbrew, and he let me know that Chalk Talk is number 2 globally on the sport section of Mixcloud. And when you think of the word globally, I mean, I was stunned. I mean, it's like, I just thought, you know, our episodes, they all of my episodes get uploaded onto Mixcloud, so it's fine. You know, if people want to listen, it's always there for them. I didn't see that happening, and you know, what that has done for me is it's just boosted my confidence. Like I want to take the number 1 spot, and then I just want it to go further. I just want the more people that listen to it, especially because I knew, to be fair, from week 1, week 2, week 3 of the show, we were having people across the globe listening to the show. You know, I had people that I've had on the show have got fans that from all around the world. So that's always helped, and yeah, it's just boosted my confidence. That was amazing to hear. And then, you know, you just think there's only one way to go after being number 2, and that's number 1. So,
do you know what number 1 is currently?
Yeah, it's a show called The Presser, and I can't remember what country it's from. I don't know if it was like, oh God, it might be American. You know, it might be an American show, possibly to do with what they call football. But we won't go into that. We won't go into that. But yeah, I think it's to do with that, and I think it's got a bit of a following, but it's nothing that I don't feel we could beat. So I'll tell you what, something that probably did define me career wise was I used to work for B&M Bargains back in the day, but I started working for them about 9 years ago, I think, and I was there for about 2.5 years, and I was a supervisor there. And there was one time, because I got a couple of employee of the month awards and things like that, but I got colleague of the quarter at one point. So from January to March, I'd won colleague of the quarter, and that was in a time where I'd never been in a supervisor role before. I'd never been in a role where I was in charge and having to take rank and things like that. And I feel like that's definitely, having that role and winning an award like that, it's shaped my future purely because I captain my own pool teams on a Wednesday and a Sunday. I manage my own football team, adults team, on a Saturday morning. And, you know, I have the confidence that no matter what role I go into now, I know I can be in charge and be comfortable with it. And I'm not someone where it goes to my head. I'm good at the role. I'm good at being in charge of things, and I absolutely love it. And I wouldn't change that. And I don't think I'd be able to do the things I do now socially, that have brought me closer to so many people and give me this confidence, if I hadn't have won that award back in the day. Because you win an award like that in the position you're in, it's a big thing. I mean, I was only 22 at the time. It's quite a big thing at that age, you know. Yeah. And now I'm happy to take charge of things, and I know if I'm in charge, everyone around me will enjoy it. So
that's a good thing to share with. I mean, that just shows that even your other careers have shaped you now and made you into what you've become, and that just shows that some people would see that as a small thing, but it does shape a lot of people, and people unintentionally get shaped by them things. So it's nice that you've acknowledged it and said, yeah, I got this, and it made me into who I've become and given me the confidence, is a lot of people don't realise them awards and them kind of job satisfactions that aren't really around a lot now mean a lot to people, and management don't see that. A lot of places that I've worked don't do employee of the month or quarter or anything like that, but it is a big impact, and it does give you that boost and make you want to perform better and gives you more confidence in anything in life. So I'm glad that you've mentioned that. With your first thing, your first defining moment with the Mixcloud, is Mixcloud the only place that Chalk Talk can be found at the moment for anyone that wants to see it, or is it set up on other networks?
Yeah, so at the moment it's aired live on a Friday, 6 till 7 p.m. and then it is replayed on a Sunday morning, 11 a.m. till 12 p.m. And then, the link is on Mixcloud. Go and have a look at Chalk Talk on whatever social site you're on. People think that because it's pool, if you don't play pool, you might not enjoy it. Look, I'm a talker. The people I get on the show, we have good banter, we have a good joke, we have a good laugh, and we talk about serious things. I've talked about mental health with 5 or 6 of my guests because it's something I'm big on. And you know what? I'll be honest, I've listened to a couple of them back now. I didn't at first because I didn't want to hear my own voice, but I was pressured into it, so I've listened to a couple of them. You know what? They're great shows. Even if you don't like pool and snooker, I've got friends that don't. They hate cue sports, but they listen to the show because it's a good crack. It is a good crack, and I'll stand by that forever. So yeah, go check it out on Mixcloud. I think there's going to be more ways coming forward in the future, but I can't. I'm unable to say anything at the moment. I've got one of them. But yeah, for now it's just Mixcloud, and then the times that it's aired on the station, the Friday evenings, the Sunday mornings. I actually had one more. I don't want to rabbit on too much, but I did actually have one more of the defining moments.
Go ahead.
I didn't think about it too much because it wasn't work wise, it wasn't like career wise, so to speak. But it actually kind of falls in well with Chalk Talk. So back in 2019, when I was representing Staffordshire playing pool, we were at the county finals in Rhyl in Wales. And I was playing in the C section for Staffordshire. You have your A's, your B's, your C's, and then you have your ladies and your under 18s, loads of different sections. So I was playing in the men's C section, and I finished top of the section on averages for the 4 days that we were there. I actually finished top of the section with a win percentage of like 80% or something like that. And you know what? I came away from them 4 days loving pool more than I ever have, because of how I did in them few days that I was there in Wales. And I came back from that, just beaming with confidence about pool, and that it could be something that I'll do in the future, whether it's playing, whether it's talking about it. And, who knows, if I'd have gone to them 4 days away and played very badly and came back with a 10% win rate and finished near the bottom of the stats, maybe I'd have gone off pool a bit. Who knows? You never know. Honestly, you never know. Sometimes things like that can pick you up and put you in an incredible place. And I think I've probably got, that's one of the best things I've ever done in pool. So I think I'll stick to that, because that's definitely defined this in some way. Because now I have this love for pool that it won't stop. So I know what I can do on a table, and I know that I can talk about it. So
that's the igniting factor, then, wasn't it? To kind of drive you on is, of course, if, as you said, if you didn't do well in that, would you have made Chalk Talk, or would you have just been like, yeah, I'll stay on the sports brew, then it moved to Monday, and then you would have left? So we don't know, do we?
Yeah, you never. Honestly, it's you really do never know what could have happened.
Of course, you've mentioned about guests, and you've got your packed out schedule. Kind of, what is there to look forward to for people that support Chalk Talk?
You know what? I've obviously nearly booked out the whole year, and there's so many good guests coming on. There's so many. Next Friday, for instance, if I could sit here and explain every guest here, because I know them off the top of my head, what dates they're on and everything. If I could explain them all, if I had time, I would, but I just simply can't. So I suppose you'll all just have to tune in and have a look. But no, next Friday on the 28th, I've got Chris Melling, who's also known as the Magician, and unbelievable pool player. Some of the things he's done, like live on telly, he's played in the Moscone Cup, which is massive in America and in England as well. He goes to China, he plays out there. That will be a great one. He seems quite easy to talk to already, so just from the few conversations we've had. So that will be big, but I'm going to have my first ladies players on the show at the end of September, two of the local ladies that have been playing for about 40 years. I've got around 5, 6, maybe even 7 pool professionals coming on the show. And I've got about 3 professional snooker players coming on the show before the year is out. I've got a professional snooker coach who's coached all the best players in the world coming on the show. You know what? Every week, I could say all of these amazing names, and a lot of people might not have heard of them, but sometimes they're not even the best shows. The best shows are sometimes the local guys who, have a good crack, and I can read the room with them because they're in the room with me, and you just never know. But all I can say is just tune in, because it's an hour of, it's good talk. It really is good talk. Like it's, and hopefully, I've had a T-shirt made for the show. My promoter, he's made some Chalk Talk badges as well. There's merch coming. What isn't there to love? Just tune in, guys, and I promise you won't regret it.
No, wicked. And I mean, with all the without listing the names, all the people that you've said that you're trying to get on for this year and you've secured, should excite people to want to check in with you, maybe not live, but on Mixcloud, and see what you're actually doing.
Yeah, definitely.
We're going to get into the darker section, as I call it.
Which is where my smile goes.
Is there one piece of advice that you could give to your younger self? So maybe a 10, 11-year-old David, if you went back and spoke to him now and gave him one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would say to be more confident, and there's a reason I say that. For some reason, I mean, now I like I say, I can talk to anybody and I can talk about anything, and I'm so confident. I'll never shy away from any conversation. But back as a child, up until if I could speak to like 14, 15-year-old me who was in year 10, 11 at school, so shy, so timid. I wouldn't. I had like a group of friends that I'd play football with, and I had my group of friends outside of school, but I just would not want to talk to anybody really. Like, I tried to keep myself to myself. I had zero confidence in terms of anything, whether it was girls or, stepping forward to do things. I just didn't want to do anything. I had zero confidence, and that carried on till after school. I went to college after school, and I didn't enjoy college, and I think I dropped out after 3 or 4 months. And I put that down to me having zero confidence. College is a whole new aspect. It's like a step up of school. You're meeting new people, but you're still kind of doing all this education.
Yeah.
And I didn't particularly enjoy school, really. So I went to college and I had zero confidence still. And I was the same person. I was the same kid that left school that had no confidence and wouldn't really talk to anybody and all of that. And, it wasn't until I really started working and I was 18, 19 that I started becoming this confident person that would just talk anyone. Like, I'll chew anyone's ear off. I love that idea. And I'll talk to anybody and nothing phases me at all. So I definitely just tell my younger self to just be confident, because I got 3 older brothers and they were all confident and, much loved lads at school. And yeah, it does. it doesn't disappoint me because I feel like everything happens for a reason, and I'm where I am now because of the things I've done in the past and everything, So I'll never regret anything, but it hurts me a little when I think back at being in school and just not really having a backbone, not having any confidence, just not even wanting to go to school because I knew I probably wasn't going to have a good day because I won't talk to anybody because that's who I was. Like, I was just a very shy lad, and I didn't want to. You don't want to be that way, And you know what? To be fair, outside of school, I wasn't too bad because I had a group of lads that I played football with, and we all got on. But I was just such a shy, zero confidence lad. And when I think back at that, I think that's mad for how I am now and how happy it makes me being confident. And I look back at that, it's like, well, why was I like that? But there's no answer for it. It's just who I was. You can't change who you are like that in an instant. But I think I'd say it to any child that feels like they're maybe a bit too shy or timid or whatever. Just be more confident. Confidence it works wonders. It really does. It's what it's done for me in the last few months is unbelievable because I've been through some stuff at the start of the year that I won't go into, but confidence is key. It really is. It sounds cliche, but it's true.
No, 100%. And I mean, I think with what you're doing and the message you're putting on, you're very much a positive role model. So even though you didn't feel confident when you were a kid, hopefully your confidence now will motivate young people to pursue that. And if they've got a love for any sport or anything in general, that you can succeed and people do show a common interest in anything that you like. So, and you've shown that. So that's a big props to you. So keep doing what you're doing.
I will.
I just wanted to ask you, of course, sponsorship is kind of a thing that you're trying to sort at the moment. So you've got Potters, haven't you, as a sponsor so far? Is there any more on the horizons, or are you trying to get more? So if there's anyone listening who's got a business in Derby or Burton, how can they help you out?
Yeah, so first of all, massive shout out to Potters as well, because they're Dave Gilbert, professional snooker player. He co-runs the place with Phil and Nez. Shout out to them guys. What they've done for me and for Chalk Talk, and I've had a massive board put up in Potters for everyone to see by the main table, by the TV, about Chalk Talk with my name on and everything. It's when I walked in, we did like a bit of an unveiling, and when I walked in one night and saw that, it was very overwhelming. Very, it was, hold it together, Dave. But no, you know what? They're amazing. They've as soon as I've wanted sponsorship, they were fully invested and they've been brilliant. So big shout out to them. Massive thank you. Just by the off chance they hear this, I'll make sure they do. But no, yeah. The thing is with this show, I do it voluntary and that doesn't bother me. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's very It's very rewarding at the moment. But moving forward, obviously, not just to help Chalk Talk, but to help Microbrew Radio in general, sponsorship is required. It's something that the station needs, and Chalk Talk could definitely do with help with. And if I've got to sell it as well as I can, like this show it's going places, and that's not that's not just words coming out of my mouth. That's what people are telling me. That's what people of big stature in the pool and snooker world are telling me. This show it's got potential to go very far, and I don't know where that potential is leading exactly. But the growth in just 3.5 months has been scary, and the people it's reaching out to all over the world. It's not it's not just Burton and Derby. Like we're literally, the word of mouth is getting around all over the world. And in the last couple of weeks, I've been holding conversations with representatives from China. There's a competition they've had in the last couple of weeks where a lot of the professionals have been at, called Joy. I don't know if they say it as Joy or if they call it Joy, but it's in capital letters. It's called Joy, and they do like a hayball series of competitions. And I've been speaking to them for the last couple of weeks. Different representatives. I spoke to 4 or 5 different people, Unfortunately, today we came to a final agreement that they won't be sponsoring the show just because they wanted it to be strictly kind of joy based. They wanted to have, and I've got to have people of all different aspects of the Q Sports on it. I can't just have it as whatever they want it to be, which is unfortunate because they're a massive company with, a lot of backing and everything. But yeah, I want anybody involved, anybody with a business, please get in touch, because it's, there's no limit on how many sponsors you can have, and a show that's as big as this is currently and as big as it's going to be. I'd just say get involved, because as far as promotion and advertisement goes, I do it all the time for my sponsors. Potters get it all the time, and I could talk about them all day. It's fine. It doesn't bother me. It's no skin off my teeth. So I'd say to anybody that's listening that might have a business or knows somebody that wants to sponsor anything, yeah, just please get in touch, because it would definitely be a good partnership. Me and Potters, I can see it going a long way. It's a good partnership already, and they've only been sponsoring me for about a month. So yeah, just get in touch, I suppose.
There we go. So hopefully people will be able to find you, and at the end we'll call out all your social media so they can get a hold of you if they do have a business and to sponsor you. Is hopefully people can back you so it can just ever evolve.
Correct. Thank you.
It's okay. We're going to move on to quick fire questions. So of course you don't know any of these.
No, but take it easy on me.
But you should be able to answer them all. I have faith that you can. So the first one is, you go into a pub and you've got to go and sing one karaoke song. What are you singing?
Don't by Ed Sheeran.
Nice. Different.
I love Ed Sheeran. To be fair, I love a bit of karaoke. I do. Who doesn't? Exactly. But I was at a wedding of a friend of mine's sister about a month and a half ago, and I'll give him a shout out, Mickey. I'll make sure you listen to this as well. They did karaoke at the end of the night, which I've never really known at a wedding before, but I love the idea of it. And yeah, I did Don't by Ed Sheeran because it's fast paced and I enjoy it. And you know what? I didn't do too much of a bad job. The start of the song caught me out because it didn't start how it starts on my playlist. So I got caught out at the start and I had to do some catching up. But no, yeah, that song, just because it's not your typical slow love song that anyone can sing. It's something that takes a bit of background knowledge of the words, I guess. So. Yeah,
no, 100% agree. And it's nice that it's something different. It's not a generalised karaoke song, so people won't expect it. And it's not like having Don't Stop Believing 100 times in the night. The next one is, I invite a chef round to your house and he's making you one meal and he's getting you one beverage of your choice. What are you choosing?
Wow, that's cool. Oh, okay. See, the problem is I really like food and I'll eat anything at any point. Okay, yeah, I'll go. And you know what? I'm going to go with a gammon steak. It can be whatever ounce you want. If we want to go 32 and make it big, we'll make it a big deal. We'll do that. Yes. Gammon. I'll trade the pineapple for an extra egg. So I'll have 2 eggs, chips, side of onion rings, bit of mayonnaise on the side. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but I like a bit of mayonnaise. And then my beverage, he's got to get me a McDonald's Coke.
McDonald's Coke. It's
different. It's got to be a McDonald's Coke. If I'm going to go with a Coca-Cola, we'll go with a McDonald's Coke.
Nice. I like that. It's a bit different.
That's it. Well, I like
it. If you could choose one sport to watch for a year, are you choosing Q Sports, so pool and snooker? We'll count them as one.
I knew you were going to do this. Oh, it's horrible. Oh, that is horrible. That is. You said to watch, didn't you? You said to watch.
To watch, yes.
Okay, football, and there's a reason. I can watch and play football. Happy as Larry with both. I struggle to watch pool. Watching pool does, unless it's extremely entertaining. I get a bit bored. I'll be honest. If I'm not playing, I get a bit bored. So I'd much rather play pool than watch pool. And I think, to be fair, everyone knows that about me. I'd much rather be on the table than watching. Whereas with football, I can play and watch, and I'm happy. So I'll go with football.
Nice. That leads nicely on to what do you predict of Burton Albion's season this season? So for 23-24 season, what do you want to happen?
What I want to happen and what I think will happen. Two massive differences. No, you know what? I think I was very kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? I said a lot of kind of, not bad words, but I wasn't really too happy with Dino Marmaria taking over when Jimmy Floyd had left. I didn't feel like it was a safe option at all. But happily, I'm very happy that he proved me wrong and we stayed up. We finished near mid-table in the end, and he did a very good job. He brought very clever. We lost the keeper that he brought in, which is unfortunate because he was one of the best I've seen at the Pirelli, playing for Burton anyway. And we've brought in two new keepers. I'm yet to see them play, so who knows? But a couple of the forwards he's brought in, they look, he's brought in Cole Stockton from Morecambe, who scored, I think, 40 goals in 2 seasons in League One for Morecambe, who, I'm sorry if any Morecambe fans are listening, but they are awful at football. Just a bad football inside that I don't enjoy watching. When I've been to the Pirelli, it's just not, it's usually sometimes 2 awful sides against each other. But no, I think he's lightning. I love him. I think he's got such a strike on him. I'm quietly confident if he can bring in a couple more players before the season starts. I want to push for playoffs. Who doesn't want playoffs? The whole playoffs, the 2 legs, and then the final. Who doesn't love the playoffs? That's what I want. But what I think is another mid-table finish, maybe 13th, 12th, 13th. And I think, you know what? I think the general consensus around Burton fans is that that's what we are, a mid-table League One team. So some fans think we're a League Two team. I don't. I think we're good enough for League One. I just don't think we're anywhere near good enough, or we don't have enough money to challenge for the title.
Nice. No, I think you've been realistic with your approaches. I mean, you could have gone, we're going to come first or second, automatics. But no, it'll be interesting, and I mean, I'm interested in how Mason Bennett will do. Is of course his former Derby, so I just hope they do well. Have
you seen that stat about Mason Bennett?
I haven't. No, go on.
So he's made 202 career appearances.
Right.
He's only completed 3 90-minute matches.
Jeez.
So 199 matches has either come off the bench or been subbed off.
I mean, I know during the Derby time, I can't remember him doing a full 90. And I mean, he started in the playoff final, didn't he? Against Aston Villa. And if that was someone else, maybe we would have been in the Prem that season, but oh well. I've got one more question for you, which is a bit of a thinker. Someone comes in to Burton train station, they've never been to Burton before, and you've got to show them one gem, and it's your gem of Burton. What are you showing them?
Oh, God. Me missus is looking at me like... oh, God, wow, what a question that is. Oh, God. got to show them one thing in Burton-on-Trent.
Yes.
You got no ideas? Yeah, that's a good point. We were known for the brewery, but that's not what I don't drink, so that I wouldn't take them there. You class Swaddling Coat as Burton?
Yeah, I'll take it.
You're taking it. You know what? I'll take them up to Potters, up to my sponsor, and they can have a game. They can have a game of pool.
No, that'll be good, and it ties in nicely with, of course, your brand. So there we go.
Mate, exactly.
They can learn more about you over a couple of games of pool.
That's it. There it is.
So to round up, where can people find you, the show, Microbrew, everything?
So Microbrew. Firstly, I'll start off with them. There's an app called the Microbrew Radio app. You can download that. You will find Chalk Talk on there if you just tune in on a Friday, 6 till 7 p.m. You can go on through there. It's easy enough. Just download the app and whatever's on at the time, press play and it will be on. So as for Chalk Talk, it's Facebook and Instagram. It's just called Chalk Talk. On Instagram, it's a picture of myself, and on Facebook, it's a picture of my logo, which is just like Chalk Talk with a load of pool balls in the background. You can't miss it.
Nice.
And then that's it really. And then again on Mixcloud, all of the shows are on there. If anyone wants to listen back, all of the links are on from week 1 up until I think episode 16 is on there now. So
wicked. Thank you for coming on, and hopefully many people will check you out and try and get you to that number 1 spot on Mixcloud.
I hope so. I really do.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Peaking to Success podcast. If you enjoyed, please make sure you follow us on Spotify as well as Instagram, where you can see all the updates of who is coming up, as well as who has already been on the podcast, as well as Twitter, where there is information and interaction from me on there as well. Thank you.